Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you all. I see the little back of your heads there in the hall, but that's still good. I still see you. And of course, I'm very happy to be here because Adam said, well, maybe we need a little joy. And I am always down for talking about joy. So I'm very happy to talk a little bit about that. Um, so I thought we'd start with some instructions just to help us all feel like we're settling together, both online and in person. Um, and I'd like us to start by just noticing the sounds that are in the room wherever you're at. The sound of my voice is fine, and get a sense of the room of where you're at. You know, we'll start by just bringing us all together with a bell. You can notice the body settling. Notice the sound settling, so there's less and less and less sound, more silence. Even if you're in a place where there is sound, the silence when you start meditating can become more pronounced. You can hear it more. So there's a kind of a direct and immediate recognition of this. This is what mindfulness is. It's this direct, immediate recognition of the direct experience. It's here and now. And there's a felt sense of being here and now. We can have an immediate sense of just being here and now. So when we're meditating and we're sitting here, we want to see if we can keep refreshing that sense of being here and now. Let whatever arise. Stay connected to this immediacy. You can see how available you are here just to be with whatever. Let the meditation unfold however it unfolds. It seems like if you let go of trying to make your meditation be a certain way, and you feel instead this willingness to just allow whatever to come to you, then this sense of the first start of a meditation, that sweet kind of silence and stillness, can follow you all the way through the meditation. We just want to align our practice towards practicing and just being with whatever happens. And then we can turn our attention to the body. Feel the weight of the body from the underside, so the back of the arms can relax those muscles, and you can relax the muscles underneath your legs. Relax the back muscles. Kind of just let the body rest downward towards the ground, towards the earth. You can feel the hardness of bones as we sit here, or even if you're lying down, that hard bone from the sit bones to the feet and the legs and the big bones and the thighs. The whole torso is bone, the arms, the head, the fingers and toes with all these tiny little bones. Very, very, very hard bodies are full of bone. And we can feel that hardness even through our skin and flesh and soft tissue. It's because these bodies are basically made up of the same substance of earth. Heavy, hard, solid, and firm. So there's a way that we can establish a sense of stability just by feeling into the natural qualities of earth. And as you feel this stillness, steadiness of the body, heavy and hard, firm, this solid body, earth resting on earth, you can feel movement, sensations, tingling, bodies breathing, pressure. There's a changing nature of movement, and you can feel that as wind. There's a lot of movement. Sounds move. Body is breathing, moving. There's a sensory experience that's changing and moving. You may even have thoughts in the mind moving. There's so much movement from wind. It's continuous and constant. In fact, we need that movement to know aliveness. The more you can feel the movement and see and know movement, the more alive the moment becomes. So we can sit here for our meditation and vacillate between this knowing of stillness and earth, its grounded steadiness, like mountains, trees rooted. And there's a stillness with this practice, a steadiness. And at the same time, there's a movement like wind that's alive. And the body breathes itself. Sounds come and go. Sensations come and go, rise and fall. It's just this constant movement. And you can notice the rising, falling, coming and going, the changing nature. So there may be thoughts that arise during this meditation. You start daydreaming about things and things that you need to do, things that you did all day, things that you forgot, mistakes you made, mistakes other people made. All kinds of things can come up. But all of that thought processing can recede in the background, because for this short window of time, we could just reconnect with the stillness of earth and this movement of wind, like sitting in a park, taking a moment. Let's just sit in quiet and see if you can keep the stillness and the movement alive. A poem by Julie Cadwallader Staub. I am 52 years old and have spent truly the better part of my life out of doors. But yesterday, I heard a new sound above my head, a rustling, ruffling quietness in the spring air. And when I turned my face upward, I saw a flock of blackbirds rounding a curve I didn't know was there. And the sound was simply all those wings, all those feathers against air, against gravity, and such a beautiful whining. The whole flock taking a long, wide turn, as if one body and one mind. How do they do that? If we lived only in human society, what a puny existence that would be. But instead, we live and move and have our being here in this curving and soaring world that is not our own. So that when mercy and tenderness triumph in our lives, and when, even more rarely, we unite and move together towards a common good, we can think to ourselves, ah, yes, this is how it's meant to be. Thank you so much. So let us have take a 5-minute kind of stretch or bio break, and we'll come back.
Okay, so I just wanted to introduce Tuere more formally. You have quite the bio, so trying to highlight that, go over the highlights. So Tuere Salah is a guiding teacher at Seattle Insight Meditation Society, um, and the founding teacher of Capitol Hill Meditation Group. She's also on the Spirit Rock Retreat Center governance team, where she serves as a member of the Guiding Teacher Council and Board of Directors. She regularly teaches at Spirit Rock Cold Mountain and Insight Meditation Society, which I believe you're at now, right?
Yeah.
Yep, teaching the 3-month retreat, and various urban sanghas throughout the country. She is a retired prosecuting attorney who has practiced Vipassana meditation for over 30 years. And Tuere really loves to support centers like ours, city centers that are serving the communities. And I really appreciate that. And she is inspired by bringing the Dharma to non-traditional places and is a strong advocate for practitioners living with high stress, past trauma, and difficulty sitting still. Sounds like all of us, right? Tuere has been teaching since 2010 and has a long history of assisting others in establishing and maintaining a daily practice. And again, I'm very appreciative of you joining us tonight, Tuere, and you've been an inspiration for me for a long time, and I've always appreciated your joy and enthusiasm for the Dharma and your clarity. So thank you so much, and
Great.
introducing
Thank
again
you.
Tuere.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I do love doing community Dharma. I just think that You know, when Thich Nhat Hanh said that the next Dharma, the next Buddha would be a Sangha, I think it points to what we do. It's the Sangha itself, the lay Sangha, that really is going to bring the Dharma into, just bring the next Buddha forward. That's what I think. So I think we have a big responsibility to carry Dharma beyond just the monasteries. And to that end, how many of you would say, I can't really see in the hall, so you have to kind of shout out a number if you think about it, but how many of you think that these are joyous times? Shout it all out. Must be a whole bunch of you. Doesn't feel like a joyous time, but it is. It's actually, there is no time when it's not joyous. And the only reason why joy doesn't exist is because individually as practitioners, we are not cultivating it. And it's something that must be cultivated because society at large will pull the joy out of our lives. And unless we cultivate it specifically as practitioners with mudita, that we will not be able to experience what is possible with the joy and Dhamma. So, you know, the Buddha's monks, first let me just start with a story. Let me start with a story. Before I joined the Dhamma, before I found the Dhamma, or the Dhamma found me, back when I was much younger and I had a little boy, Raymond would have been maybe 5 years old, and he may have been even 4, may have been before my second son. But I was not financially very solid. So he would have been younger, probably 4 years old, just him. And I was on welfare and didn't have any food in the house. And so I made this decision to go to this food bank to get something to eat. And I didn't want Raymond to feel as though food banks are very, they are difficult places because there's so much weighted sadness in when you're poor, or it's just a sense of desperation in some respects, and it's overwhelming. And so the weight of poverty or the weight of needing support gets difficult. I didn't want Raymond to feel that weight. And so I decided to pretend we were going somewhere special. So I put on his Sunday suit, and he's all in a tizzy because he doesn't understand. You know, he kind of figured out when it's time to go to church, and he doesn't understand why I'm putting his church suit on in, like, you know, the day before, day after. It's like he didn't understand why we were going to church. And I said, no, we're not going to church. We're going somewhere special. It's very special, and you got to get dressed up to go. And I told him that, you know, you couldn't go unless you didn't have any food. And so it was only for people who needed food. And this is why you have to dress up, you know. So we checked all the kitchen cabinets and the refrigerator. There was no food in there. So he feels like he's feeling kind of proud. And I thought, oh, this is good. Look at what I did. This is good. So we go to the bus stop and kind of, you know, he's feeling good. And when Raymond's feeling good, I just didn't want him to act out because he could get pretty happy like me. So we get on the bus and it's early in the morning and people are going to work and there's a lot of solemn faces on the bus, and out of the blue, this kid goes, "Do you know where we're going?" I was like, "Oh my God, don't say it." He said, people are like, "No, where are you going?" He said, "We're going to the food bank." And he's all excited. I cannot believe that this boy would talk about this with strangers. He is a bundle of excitement and joy. And of course, everyone there, he's like, "Have you been? Have you been?" And everyone's like, "No, I can't say I've ever been there. No, I've never been there." He goes, "Oh, that's too bad. You can't have any food. That's the only way you can go. But maybe one day you'll get to go." He's all excited. So finally, it's time for us to get off the bus. I'm cracking up. By the time we get off the bus, everyone in the back is cracking up. We're all laughing at Raymond explaining to people how important it is not to have food so you can one day go to the food bank, that they should try it, Just eat up everything, he decided. I mean, he's got the whole bus cracking up about this going to the food bank. So we get off and we go and we stand in line and we're in line, and I look down and Raymond's gone. He's way up at the top of the line telling people, "So happy that you get to be here. So happy that you get to be here." And he's going down the line, like thanking people and congratulating people, like almost like when you're a kid and you're in a team sport and everybody's all happy. So he's all in a joy. Next thing I know, we're all standing in line, laughing, joking, talking to each other. You never talk to people in that line. And here we were, joking, laughing, talking to each other, standing in line. And the time of the standing in line kind of went by. And so at first, somebody at the beginning of the line said, "Raymond should go in first because he deserves it. He's earned his right to go in first." But nobody wanted Raymond to go in first because everybody wanted Raymond to stay in line and let them talk and so we could play all the way up. By the time he got in to the actual food bank, all the volunteers knew all about him and they were all very happy. And so we were laughing and joking, and they're giving me so much abundance, so much. Mostly they're giving Raymond whatever Raymond wants. And this whole experience, I'm going home. They had to give me a cart thing, a foldable cart, so I could carry all this stuff home with me. And I'm on my way home. And I was sitting there. By now, Raymond's getting kind of tired and he's sleeping on me as we're riding home. And I'm thinking to myself, I cannot believe how he changed the entire day for so many people. Changed the entire day just because of his joy. And everyone on the bus and all the people in the line and the people that were at the food bank, this is a weariness, this that we were all feeling. You could see it. And yet his mudita changed the nature of the disposition of all these people around him. It's not his mudita. He gave mudita to everyone around him. So the mudita is this having joy in another person's joy. So your joy is not coming from something you generate. It's coming from something that someone already has joy. And you borrow, that's what I call it, you borrow their joy. Borrow that energy. Share that energy with them so that their joy becomes part of your joy. And there are so many people in the world that are experiencing joy for some reason, because they got a new job, For me, I'm a romanticist, so I always think of all the people who's asking their partner to marry them. And of course, their partner says yes. I never think about the people who say no. So they say yes. And there's all this happiness. I think of all the nervousness and all the energy around trying to ask someone. I think of even my son, what he went through to ask his wife to marry him. It had to be some big thing. And he set her up, and it was just a big thing just for him to ask her to marry him. But all of that energy, all of the joy and the sneaking and the excitement that he felt when he would tell me what he's going to do, and now what he's going to do, and then what he's going to do, it's unbelievable. So you're sharing someone else's joy. That joy is connected to him. It's not connected to me. I'm not asking anyone to marry me, but he is so joyous that I can begin to feel his joy. And when you feel his joy, you begin to feel the possibilities that come with a joyous, uplifted heart, this inspired heart. So in this practice, one of the reasons why it's important to cultivate this is because the practice itself is very heavy. I mean, we like overemphasize dukkha in insight. I think the Asian community probably doesn't emphasize dukkha at the level we do, but we like front load dukkha. And so there's so much kind of spinning in the dukkha that the Brahma Viharas and metta, compassion, mudita, and equanimity, they can somehow or another be like the secondary practice. But really, we want to focus on wisdom and getting the mind right and getting the mind trained. But all of that is not possible without joy. Liberation is not possible without joy. This deep concentration that we all want is not possible without joy. There is a need for the heart to be uplifted, for it to take on steadying its gaze and seeing things as they truly are. In fact, the Buddha's monastics were called the happy ones. And now they didn't live in the best of conditions. They lived more like when I was younger and didn't have any money. They lived, when they walked around and went to a village, they didn't sleep at the inn. They didn't even go look for the monastery. They pretty much slept in charnel grounds. They ate only if somebody had something to give them to eat. And if no one had anything to give them to eat, they didn't eat. A daily, you don't eat every day. You eat if somebody feeds you, offers you food, and if they don't, you don't eat. And yet with all of the difficulties they dealt with, they were called the happy ones. Their spirits were uplifted, and they had a sense of joy around them. And that joy had to come from the knowing of joy beyond just their current circumstances. So in a way, I want to talk about this because we are all kind of feeling the weight of politics here in this country, the weight of the devastation and harm all over the world. We feel the weight of it. And if we don't cultivate joy, that weight will overwhelm us. And we will end up walking around in a state of disillusion and cynicalism, this kind of weighted sadness and discontent. But the reason why that is it's not the way things are. We think that's the way things are. We think the world is in a state of misery. So we think, oh, I'm keeping it real. I'm living in the reals. I see the real thing. The climate's falling apart. There's wars and everything and destruction and people are dying and there's all this misery all over the place. So I'm keeping it real. But you're not, because there is equally a fair amount, an equal portion of complete joy, belly laughing joy, this bright, uplifted, what a great day joy. It is equally existing in the world. And if we do not sort of see it and share it and be in it, then we kind of overwhelm the world with defilements. I think that's what Raymond did. I think Raymond just took his joy just from me telling him this was special. I mean, I lied. It wasn't even special. And yet because he thought he was doing something special, he's all in an uplifted energy. So if you think about it, as long as there are children in the world, there is the joy of picking flowers, dandelions, and they consider those flowers. I never quite considered them flowers, but that's what they pick. There's abundance of dandelions, so they pick them. And there's just this way, as long as there are human beings, there are going to be lovers. And there are going to be people asking each other to marry each other. As long as there is human beings, there will be this kind of camaraderie, family, connectedness. So yes, even though there is a degree, a large degree of pain and suffering that we know of, because we live in a world where the media tells us every negative thing that's going on. But somehow they forget to tell us the good things that are going on. For instance, because of algorithms, I look for certain things in YouTube and in videos so that the algorithms get set where they send me more and more and more of the same thing. So one thing now I've kind of gotten my algorithm around is wild animals asking human beings for help. Oh my God, there are so many wild animals that have somehow or another begin to understand that humans can help them. And they will come far and wide until they find a human being who will listen to them, and they will convince that human being to come and help their kid, their partner, some friend. They will, it's massive, the amount of communications of wild animals to human beings. We never talk about that, but something has happened where wild animals who used to fear us have somehow or another figured out that we can help them when they're in danger. And so they search out. And I see all these videos where they remember who did it. So if they go to if you live in, you have to sort of live around the woods and stuff. And if you go and help them and you help their friend or whatever, then the whole pack, all these people will come back to your house to kind of talk to you, kind of say thank you. It is amazing. But who tells you about that? You almost have to get in the algorithm that allows you to find out about this. Otherwise, you won't be able to feel the mudita of all these animals that are so grateful that somebody helped one of their friends. And and to see how they respond. You wouldn't know that that's actually happening. You wouldn't be able to see all of the shifts and changes, like this this couple bought some land. I think it was in Brazil. They bought some land in Brazil. It was a part of the rainforest. Yeah, it was part in Brazil. Part of the rainforest had been just kind of stripped away. So they bought garbage, food waste, bought mounds and mounds and mounds of this food waste. And they took this dump and this big dump truck, and they filled up these dump trucks, and they just took the dump trucks and just dumped all that food waste into this area of the land that they bought. They just dumped mounds and mounds and mounds of yard waste and food waste into this area. And then they just left it there. They didn't do anything. They just came back later, 15 years. It's stunning, the pictures of what that food waste did over the course of that barren land. And when you see the before and after pictures, it's shocking. It's mudita. It just brings all this joy to you. There are so many examples, way too many for me to go through. But I want to talk about joy with you. I want to talk about how you're cultivating joy. Are you cultivating joy? And encourage you to cultivate this with each other intentionally, not just randomly waiting for some joyous thing to happen to you. Because I figure we only get like 2 opportunities of joy a year. And like you, most of our joy is all used up. So we're going to have to find somebody else who hasn't used up their too and borrow their joy. This is necessary for us to be able to be awake. I want to give you one more example, and then I'm going to pull up the sutta. So we know about civil rights and the civil rights movement here. But the civil rights movement, you got to think about this. And if you've never seen the movie, now when I need it, I can't think of it. I'll think of it and see if I can find it. There's a movie about it's like the Black Woodstock. I can't remember what the name of it. I think it's a Summer of Soul. That's what it is, Summer of Soul. So if you've never seen that movie, you got to watch that movie. Because the movie talks about the civil rights movement and how horrible things were. All this letdown. Things were going, I mean, it was already a bad time for Black people in this country anyway. But then we'd have all these negative things happening that would make it worse. And leaders were getting killed. And it was just all this one disappointment after another. And New York, Harlem was losing it. That they were barely able to keep themselves together. So this guy came up with this idea to put on a concert. And a lot of the famous people like Aretha Franklin and a lot of these Motown singers that we see of them as famous, back then, they weren't really all that famous. They had a little bit of fame, but not a lot of fame. And so they were the ones that were going to come and sing on the stage to convince Harlem in this summertime not to explode, not to riot, not to lose it. And so they had this big, huge concert. Oh my God. When you watch them, it's a documentary of that concert, and you listen to the music and you listen to the stories. It's just such an upbeat, alive kind of event, because all these people spent the summer looking forward to these concerts rather than spinning in the difficulty that they were having. It's not like the joy made the difficulty go away. But what joy does is create a lifted heart to the point where you can handle the difficulties that are coming up. And so it's not this kind of pretend fake, I'm really, really happy. You may not be really, really happy. That's why you have to look for, cultivate, and find, turn your attention towards people and things where there is actual joy. And then you get the mudita of that joy because you may not have it on your own. This cultivation of joy, you then beginning to feel the mudita of another person's joy, begins to brighten your energy. And when your energy gets brightened, you're able to go further. So when I think about all the civil rights movements, I know about the movements, but what many people don't know about is that before those protests, all those people would go to churches and they would sing to the rafters so that their whole body was uplifted in this sense of, we are one, not alone. We are completely together, and we are doing something that's necessary, and we have the confidence to do it if we do it together. So this kind of uplifted joy that they would sing and sing and sing and sing and sing till they're laughing and energized, that then you would then go to these protests that were going to be very difficult. But the way that you could do it is because your heart was lifted beyond the misery of what you were going to go face. So in some respects, that's what I think we have to do for each other as Sangha members. We have to uplift each other's spirits so that there's a sense of existing beyond the misery of a present moment. So let me pull up this. This is one of my favorite suttas. Let's pull it up here. Let me see. It's called the, I think it's Sintana. Yes, Sintana. All right, let's see here. See if I can find it. Here it is. So, oh, this isn't the version I want. Sorry about that. All right, so what the Buddha is basically saying is that we don't have to have an act of will to make liberation happen. We feel like we have to do something, make it happen, fix all that outside out there. And if we can fix all that outside out there, we'll feel much better. But we don't actually have to do a force of will. We have to lift our hearts, lift our, what gets liberated is the heart mind. That's where liberation comes. That's what happened with Raymond, because Raymond was not holding the going to the food bank, the way adults hold it, his heart mind was liberated, and he had this joy because when all these civil rights people would go into the church and sing before they do these protests, their hearts were liberated, their hearts are uplifted, and then you can be with whatever. It's like you are increasing your window of tolerance because you are so lifted. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to lift the heart. So what the Buddha said was, for a person endowed with virtue, consummate in virtue, there is no need for an act of will. May freedom from remorse arise in me, because it is in the nature of things that freedom from remorse arises in a person endowed with virtue, consummate in virtue. So as Sangha members, we live within the suttas as best, the Sila precepts as best as we can. So by living within these precepts, however we can, we are cultivating virtue. And in the cultivation of that virtue, you do not have to beg for it, because it is the nature of it is the nature to be free from remorse will come by living in the precepts. And however long it takes, it will happen. So it says, a person who's free from remorse, there is no need for an act of will. May joy arise in me. It is in the nature of things that joy arises in a person free from remorse. And for a joyous person, there is no need for an act of will. May rapture arise in me. It is in the nature of things that rapture arises in a joyful person. And from rapture, there grows serenity in the body. And from serenity in the body, there grows a body that experiences pleasure. And from a body that experiences pleasure, it is in the nature that the mind will grow contented. And when the mind grows contented, you do not have to beg to see things as they truly are. You will see things as they truly are, because it is in the nature of a concentrated mind to see things as they truly are. And when you begin to see this, gradually you move directly into liberation. So simply by living out the precepts, we as a Sangha are cultivating this mind towards a mind towards liberation. But we will not free the mind without joy. You will not free the mind without joy. And so when you begin to practice into the precepts, and you begin to cultivate this free from remorse, the virtues and the freedom from remorse, that is when we can begin to cultivate this joy. And that's what I want to encourage you to do for each other. Talk about joy. Think about joy. Share joyous stories with each other. And bring that joy into the Sangha, so that you're not just going to Sangha as a heavy lift of some obligation and burden that you have to do because we have to get this mind right, but that you're doing it to uplift each other's hearts, especially in difficult times. So let's sit for a moment, and then we'll take some questions. All right. Thank you so much for your kind attention. I appreciate it. So let's see if we have any comments about this idea of cultivating joy. I hope I've convinced you all and you're all ready to go look for some videos of wild animals begging for help and getting it. Let's see if anybody has anything they'd like to share.
So if anybody's in the hall, just raise your hand. I'll bring the mic to you. If you want to share insights or questions or discussion. If you're on Zoom, just raise your
I
Zoom
see a
hand.
little one on Zoom. uh,
We have a
Lex-
question
yeah.
on Zoom. Lakshmi, if you
Okay.
want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Tuere. Thank you so
Hi.
much for
Yeah,
your
you're
talk.
welcome.
I really appreciate just kind of the straightforward way that you explain things. And this was a really helpful framing for me because I feel like mudita always seems like this luxury, luxury way of being. And I'm just like, yeah, let me deal with the others first. And
Yeah.
it always kind of gets pushed to the back end. And I don't feel like I'm very good at prioritizing joy, but I really appreciate your explanation of this because it actually brings so much ease to the practice, the way that you explain it. And there's a visual that came to my mind about like it's like it's like like maybe like rock and water, and it's just like the joy and like the positive qualities being sort of like the wave smoothing the rock, over time. There's a gentleness about it. And uh it's it kind of takes the pressure off of trying to like extract these negative emotions that we think need to be pulled out of us, but it's
That's
really
right.
just it's just about like being at ease, and it'll happen over time.
It will. And with that joy, um, we can begin to see things as they truly are because we're not so weighted down by what we see. Because a lot of what we see in Dharma, the wisdom of it is very difficult. It's embarrassing. It's like I wish I wasn't like this, and yet we see it. We see so much pain and so much harm that without this joy, we can forget the lawfulness of all this, the conditionality of it, the non-self of it, and we can get weighted down with trying to fix problems. And in actually a liberated heart can be in the world that's very, very difficult and still carry a great deal of uplift, a great deal of uplift. So, yeah, thank you.
All right, I have a question in the hall. Please share
And
your name.
Hi, my name is Jen Scott.
Yeah, hi, Jen.
Thank you so much. I feel like you've um, offered us this extraordinarily beautiful and really accessible bridge to what I guess intellectually I would call an embodied practice. But then, intellectually, like the regular me, is just appreciating the kind of sparks and glitter for be you know being good with what's going on. I feel like our culture is out has really got this negative, what's that called, a negative like
A negative
outweightedness,
spin.
bias, a
Yes,
negative bias. And
yes.
yeah, spinning in dukkha, what you said, spinning in dukkha sounds unfortunately really familiar. And the way you talked about weighted sadness, um it reminds me of every time I turn on the news, like my poor body just sort of goes, oh. And I'm learning to really respond and recognize this doesn't feel helpful right now. This doesn't feel good right now. This doesn't feel like an uplift, like to use one of your words,
Yeah.
uplift. So I'm just so appreciative, and I feel like this is the timeliness of your message, and then the way that you just embody your message is so beautiful. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. That is it is a weighted, it is uh I think it's part and parcel of why we cannot free the mind. Because if you think about it, if you're weighted down in misery and you can't seem to believe there is a way forward. When I think about just being as a Black woman, prior to the civil rights movement, think of the level of fear that Black people must have felt, because everything was so stacked against us that you would, just the fear alone, you wouldn't want to say anything. You pretty much put up with whatever negativity came your way. So if the world was that imbalanced, and Black people had pretty much no rights, even though I wasn't alive during that time, but we had very little, if any, rights. And you're pretty much dominated by a white dominant culture. How come we don't live that way now? Because what would have to happen in order for us to change that? And what had to happen was people had to stand up, be against that fear. And in order to stand up against that fear, you had to have a whole bunch of joy, because otherwise the fear alone would keep you from doing anything. And so in some respects, I think part of the media conglomerate, constant negativity, is to keep us from feeling this sense of joy and uplift, because when joy comes, momentum comes. And when momentum comes, movements happen. And so there's this kind of like, keep everybody in this negative state so there's no momentum, and you will just spin in your own misery. But that is not necessary. It is not the only existence. There is this momentous, joyous energy that's all around us. And that's what I want to cultivate in this insight tradition. We need the same degree of motivation to see beyond our misery. It's funny, I'm on the 3-month year, and the people who are leaving the 6 weeks, last week is when they were leaving, they were all happy, laughing, they're all in good space. And the people that are coming into the 6 weeks, they're all upbeat, happy, can't wait to get their rooms, laughing, joking. But the people that are in the practice are all miserable. The people that are holding over the 3-monthers, they're all walking around looking miserable. It's just too much overwhelm into the dukkha. And you need that joy in order to be able to be with that dukkha. And so, yeah, so when Adam said, I think you could talk about joy, I was like, oh, I'm down for that. I'm always down. So if you cannot find anybody, you can't think of anybody that you can get their joy, borrow some of their joy. Everybody around you is miserable. Well, you just think about me, because I guarantee you, I am full of joy every day, all the time. Because I borrow joy from the whole world all the time. If I am feeling weary, I just think about people asking their partners to marry them. And before long, I'm feeling upbeat. I think about all the wild animals that, how do you talk to people that these are human beings? How do you convince them to follow me? And then you follow them, and then they help you they help get the baby out. They help get your partner out or whatever, your friend out. So I just think about things like that and realize, yeah, there's something else going on in this world too. It's not all dominated by negativity. So maybe if there's one more, besides, look at this baby on the screen. Too cute, too cute, too cute. I can't help it. You're killing me. You're too cute.
All kinds of mudita available right there.
That right
on the screen.
there. They don't even get it. They don't even know it's negative yet. They're all happy. They don't even know what's coming. And we will cultivate all that joy out of them so that by the time they get into their 20s, they're walking around feeling miserable too. But at least while they're young, we're like really, really just enjoying them. The other thing you can look for online are sleeping baby monks. Little monks that are like babies, 4 years old, 5 years old. They're so cute. And they're sleeping because, you know, these monk ceremonies are probably long, drawn out ceremonies. And they're sitting there in their lotus position, tumbling over because they're sleeping so much. It's so cute. So just think about things like that, that this is part of our practice. It uplifts our hearts and our spirits, and it allows us to smile at some of the difficulties that we have to see, and not just live in this constant stream of sadness. Adam, is anybody in the hall want to ask a question, or should we?
Yeah, we got one more. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rolita.
Hi, Nolita.
Thank you. I thank
You're
you for.
welcome.
I enjoy hearing you again. I just want to thank you. I don't really have a question, but it's really refreshing to hear this, and thank you, Adam, as well. We hear so much in society today, like you said, there's so much negativity, and there's the energy. It's so easy to spread that negative energy that there's phrases around positivity now, protect your peace. And even those who speak negative have they have these sayings, you know, if you're not paying attention, if you're happy, you're not paying attention. There's so many
Yes.
ways to spread so much negative energy that now as I meditate, I'm just seeking that joy. So it was just such a pleasure to hear you just counter everything that's been said. And so I just want to say thank you.
Yeah. I tell a lot of my activist friends, if you are not in a state of joy, I don't know what kind of activist you're going to be. Because all you're going to end up doing is bringing more anger and aversion to an already averse situation. But activists that are upbeat and energized, then I think I just look at the civil rights movement and what we actually did. When you look at the music back at that time, our music was so upbeat and joyous. I think about the Beatles. If I hear the Beatles music right now, I'm all happy. And I grew up in a very traumatizing house, but the one thing we had was the Beatles. And all we did was sing the Beatles songs and have Beatles song competitions. And yet the music was so upbeat that if I just hear Beatle music or early Motown, I'm happy. You know, it's like that, because something about how we carry the world, how our hearts are, is going to really determine how far we can go. And if we really are, which I believe we are, but I'm not sure everybody does, but assuming that everyone here believes we're in a crisis of the Constitution, then we cannot be in a state of misery. We have to be in a state that's upbeat and positive, so we can actually take on the level of work we have to do beyond just one election. You know, you think about it, you get past one election and then we all relax. No, the same kind of energy we have cultivated, we are going to have to carry that election after election after election. It's going to take a while. And so to do that, we're going to have a heavy lift. And it's not just, you know, can we get through the next 7 days and then we're going to be okay. We can all relax and chill out. It's not really like that. And so this is just the beginning of the cultivating of joy. We're going to have to cultivate it for about 10 years.
Well, Tuere, I can attest to the fact that we're all very uplifted in this room right now. We really appreciate you
Good,
being
good,
here.
good.
And I can see that on Zoom as well. I'm wondering if you can close us out with a sharing of blessings and some metta or mudita, and then we're going to have some announcements after that.
Okay, good. Sorry, we ran over a little bit here.
We always do. It's okay.
Good. Okay, so let's just find our present moment. Find the silence that's underneath all the words and everything. You can kind of hear it, even if there's sound around. And just feel into that silence. And so you can get a recognition that that silence is actually kind of energetically underneath everything in the world. One silence. And we're all have access to it. And so in that silence, we could take the merit, the good energy that arises from this practice, and we can share it out into the vast world that we live in for all beings, so that this good energy can become a light in dark places. It can uplift people who are weary, and it can become a foundation that many, many, many people can stand on to lift each other up. May all beings everywhere, without exception, may their hearts and minds be liberated.